Ginny Just.
And I'm Beth Soboloff, and we're
Two Grannies on the Road.
Hi, I'm Tim Holick, and welcome to Wood Palace Kitchens. You're in our new showroom that we built in 1985, but we originally started as a manufacturer. So we changed in 1997 where we shut the manufacturing down and we built showrooms, and we added on as each year went on. You're looking at one of our newer displays here. It is a kind of a transitional look that is very popular these days, and people seem to want this look because it's a classic look. It's a mix between traditional and a modern look, but it's clean lines and classic. We feature quartz countertops, which are very popular these days. Granite, we still do a lot of, but quartz is a non-porous granite type material that we use now, and so nothing can stain the product. So we have a LG product here in a Rococo, which is kind of that Carrara marble look, and then on the island here we have a Cambria countertop in their Seagrove, which really has a beautiful pattern to it, kind of a exotic look, which is kind of popular these days. When quartz first came around, it really wasn't that good looking. It kind of was basic colors, but now they're really coming into some nice colors that people are wanting, so that seems to be where they're going with it. I find today when clients come into our showroom, they're looking for ideas. They don't know where to start, and that's where we help them. We give them the ideas. We help them to dream first, and then we work on budgets later. When we dream first, we get everything out of our heads that we need to get out, because if we don't get that out, we might not possibly get it right to begin with. So I think that's where we help the customers the most, coming up with ideas, listening to them, asking great questions, and then listening again. I want to thank you for stopping in today. It was a fun time, and I wish the two Grannies on the road best of luck.
Welcome to Two Grannies on the Road. Today we're interviewing Tim Holick. Tim went to Bristol Plymouth Technical Vocational High School, where he studied carpentry. He then started a business 2 years later, and he's still in business today after 37 years. His business is Wood Palace Kitchens. Tim's now on the school committee and advisory board for the school. He's also a member of the Metropolitan South Chamber of Commerce and the Cranberry Country Chamber of Commerce. Tim and his wife Nancy have 2 daughters and 2 grandsons. Welcome, Tim.
Thanks for having me, Beth. I'm excited.
Me too.
I have a question for you.
Sure.
Why did you want to specialize in kitchens?
Yeah, it's a funny thing. When I first got out of school, I used to frame. I used to frame houses, condos, office buildings. And after a couple of years of that, well, actually about a year of that, I decided to get out of that. And I went to work for a van place that customized van back in the 70s. That's when they had the fancy vans. You had furniture inside. I made the furniture.
Wow.
Yeah. So I kind of got hooked on that part of it. And just before that, I actually worked for a cabinet company. So I kind of got used to the production of a shop.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Well, it's been 37 years. How has your business evolved, or your industry evolved over the last 37 years?
Quite a bit. When I first started the business, I was in the back of my mother's yard, and I had a shop. We made custom cabinets. And I did that for 6 years out of there. In 1985, we moved to where we are now on Mill Street, right off of 44. And we built a bigger shop and a small showroom now. And when I got there, I realized that I just can't carry custom cabinetry and survive at that size. So we started carrying the lower cost cabinets like, the Home Depots, the Lowe's, and kind of evolved from there. And people back then seem to have looked at quality of cabinets more than they do these days. Now it's fashion. So that's, I think, how the industry has changed, is we had to become better designers and less workers. And showroom is everything. And as you know, our whole building is showroom. We don't build cabinets anymore. We shut that in, I think it was 1997. Mm-hmm. Yep.
People, what about price? Do people care more about price than design, or is it
Yeah,
both?
price, that's the whole idea of having all the lines, the different types of lines, is you've got to be able to suit people's needs. I wrote that book, Dream First, and Dream First really was about having people forget budget at first and think about what they want, and then we'll work on budget. So it's really about us asking good questions, listening to them, asking better questions, listen to them again, and then collaborate on what we hear. And I think that's how it all ties together, because people really don't know what they want to spend at first. They might have an idea. It's like when you go to buy a car, sometimes you think you only want to spend $20,000, but you spend $28,000. You know, you start to see what you want. It's not just about buying something, it's about being happy with it. So I think that's how it's evolved also.
Right.
So after all these years of doing the kitchens things and so forth, you're starting to reinvent yourself. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, 37 years ago I started the business, so I think what happens over time, way I've evolved is, I went from working with my hands, then I got more into design, having to be a business owner, because of course we went from doing $250,000 a year out of my mother's house to $6 to $7 million a year eventually, in the place we are now. So I had to become more of a business owner, and then, coaching people, developing people. We went from having probably 5 employees to 20-something employees. So I think you evolve over time yourself, and I think us baby boomers, I think that's what we do. And we kind of get bored if we're not creating. So I think that's what excites me now, is the creation of the business and building. And now that the recession's over, we're going back to building the business back up again. We grew 46% 3 years ago, 29% next year, and last year was like 24%. So I think that's the excitement. But I do want to get into other things. On Facebook, became a writer all of a sudden, and which is funny because I hated English in school. I was the math guy, so you tend to evolve, I guess, over time that way too. And I hated English. I got good marks in English. I was a good speller, but when it came to grammar, didn't do well there.
Uh-huh.
So I've been writing on Facebook, motivational stuff, and that's kind of gotten me where I want to go. I want to become a motivational speaker. I want to write books, and I'm trying to develop my first book, but of course running Wood Palace and writing a book is a lot. So I've developed some of the books so far, and hopefully this year get back on it, and I'd like to get it done this year. That's where I'd like to see.
And you also have a radio show called Foodaholics on a station in Taunton, right?
Yes, exactly.
Tell us about the show and what sparked that.
Well, it's an AM station, and I used to do a radio show in the 90s. I was a co-host of it was called The Food Show, something basic. And I've been wanting to get back on the radio for years, just didn't have any opportunities. So finally found an opportunity. Tony Lopes, the general manager of the station, was my high school teacher and football coach. So he called me and said he had a slot open on Friday morning. So I said, yeah, I'll take it. Didn't ask anything beyond that. I'll take it. So I actually posted on Facebook that finally gotten a chance to do a radio show again. I need a name. So that's how the name. 3 people within an hour came up with 3 names that I liked, and I chose Foodaholic, which my last name is Holick, of course. And I liked Food for Thought, so I used that. That's the end of the show. I always do a Food for Thought at the end. And Tim's Tasty Tips, that was the other name. So we do a segment in the middle where we read a recipe or a hint, things like that. So it was a little bit of developing the show. I wanted to do one again just because I liked it. But 2 is I'm trying to become known if I'm going to write books and if I'm going to get out there on the circuit and do speeches. I have to become known. So it was like my first step of getting into that.
Excellent. Well, we do have a clip, actually, that we videotaped from your show, one of your recent shows. So let's take a look at that.
Oh, we have a caller, Crispy. Welcome to the show, caller.
Yes, good morning.
How you doing?
We were just happened to listen to Mr. Crispy
Yeah.
in Bridgewater, and I wanted to ask him a question,
Sure.
if I may.
Sure.
Okay, Mr. Crispy, we have a favorite dish that we can only find in Norwood, actually. It's fried haddock parmesan. Is that anything that you may be able to do or have tried or anything?
We do a fish and chip on the menu, and we can do it. We certainly can put cheese on and sauce on. I don't know why we couldn't do that for you.
Tim, what are the biggest challenges you're facing both in your Wood Palace business and transitioning your future career, and how you will overcome these challenges?
I guess the biggest challenge is eventually giving the business up. So I'm in the process, and that's where I'm kind of excited, the creation of developing people. Trying to, develop one of my people who's one of my relatives to eventually buy the business. So it's developing him. But in the same sense, we have to develop the business around me to actually take place of me. So it's going to be a long transition, but we have to do it. In order for the business to be viable, it has to be running without me. And I think I'll stay on as a chairman, probably, when I do sell it. But I think that's the biggest thing I have to concentrate on. That's why I haven't finished the book, because I've been very busy doing that. I mean, the biggest challenge, too, is finding good people. I think these days, it's, I don't know what happened during the recession, but it seems to be even tougher to find good people, thinkers. You just, with a small business, you can't have, like a big business where you have a person for everything. They have to be, good in a few things, because you might have to put on a different hat another day, things like that. So I think the biggest challenge I have going forward to my new career is probably, getting myself ready, knowing what I need to know, what I need to do. I don't do anything unless I understand it. So I've been in the process of understanding that. And I know once I write my book, I just can't expect people to buy it. I got to find ways to get out there, like on shows like this, getting hopefully on Good Morning America, things like that. And hopefully that drives me forward. That's what I'm hoping.
So we've had conversations before about baby boomers, right? So tell us what you've noticed about baby boomers these days. What are they doing?
I think a lot of them are burning out in their careers. I know in my life I've worked hard. I worked a lot of hours. I remember in the early 2000s, when I was being forced to grow because of the economy. We went from doing 2-point-something million a year to 5-point-something million a year within a year and a half. And I was told by a doctor after my first physical that he's never saw such a worn-out body in his life. I either do something or I won't be around much longer. So it was kind of woke me up.
That is a wake-up call.
Yeah, so I was burning myself. I was doing the same thing because I'm just so, I think baby boomers are so involved in their business that they try to take on too much. And I was doing the same thing. And that's when I started learning more, reading more. I had a mentor that I hired, and it was my cousin Eddie, who had a doctorate in business, but he was an educator. He was a superintendent of schools. He was retired at the time. He used to fly out to Vegas where they lived for a week at a time and learn things through him, things I needed to know to build a business as I got bigger. So I think baby boomers do that to themselves. I've heard many stories of people I know that have changed their careers. You see it all the time on Shark Tank. You see it all the time on TV. People are reinventing themselves all the time. Success Magazine, a great magazine for anybody to read. I think it's a great subscription. It's always reinventing themselves in there, changing their careers. They got laid off. Some people didn't decide to. They got laid off and they feel they had to change.
Right.
People in the print industry. That's become kind of, not obsolete, but it's getting there, where it's so much electronic stuff now.
Yeah, technology has really changed things in industry, and for baby boomers, they need to really face that.
Adapt to it.
Yes.
That's enough. I remember in the early 90s, adapted to the computer. It wasn't easy for a guy who worked with his hands. But yeah, designs became done on computers, no longer hand designs. You had to learn all that. Then they turned into pricing, so they started pricing things for you. You didn't have to look out of the book. We don't even look in the books anymore hardly. Everything's off the computer.
Oh, that must save a lot of time.
It does, but it adds time too. There's a lot of glitches,
as
you know. The learning curve and just software. Software is far from perfect, probably never be perfect. There's always glitches. We come in some days and we can't use our computer, our program that actually, goes from the design into the pricing part, and it's not working right. It's running slow. You can't get into it. So you run into a lot of that. So yeah, it sped up things, but it slowed down things too because you're so dependent on it. And I think baby boomers have had to adapt to all this and change their lives. And some people got into trades, you know, when they switched to something like that. There were all kinds of stories. People becoming in the medical industry, which is what was always my dream. I always wanted to be a doctor.
Really?
But I think I'm more interested in what I'm thinking now. So I'm going to give it a shot.
That's great.
Well, I think he just answered my question. So take it away there, Granny.
So, what do people have to do to live their dreams? This is a lot of what you're thinking about, and the motivational speaking that you want to do. You want to motivate people. What do they have to do to live their dreams, and what stops people from living their dreams?
I think probably the biggest thing is discipline. You know, we're seem to be distracted more these days because of all the technology, and you can't, you know, when it comes to business, you can't be distracted. You have to be there. Your mind has to be there, and it's not just in when you're at work. It's away from work. You know, I do my emails lots of times on my chair in the living room watching TV. You know, so I don't have a million of them in the morning. So I think discipline is the biggest thing, and mindset. Mindset is very tough to get. In the last month, I hate the winters. I hate our weather. I've hated it really, especially this last half a week with that cold weather, and the Patriots losing. Because you know how football means, how much that means to me. Because I was going to the Super Bowl this year. I've gone to 4, didn't go last year, but I was going to go because Nancy and I wanted to go to San Fran again because we went in September the first time. So I struggle at this time of year getting up in the mornings thinking about the way it is, and I just got back to the habit of reading things in the morning before I go to work. I picked up Success Magazine, and I had kind of gotten off of reading that in the morning before I went. So I got back into that, and it's amazing what those little things will drive you forward. It's like a coaching system I was in, and it talked about reading your I ams in the morning, and the I ams were, I am a good person, I am a leader, I am whatever you decide you wanted to be, you put in your head. And the other part was being grateful. What are you grateful for? Because every day you hit with different things that takes you out of that mindset. You need to go back to the good. You know, what is good in your life? Because that's what keeps us focused. So discipline, being focused, and having the determination that you are going to move forward. Because you can't do it half in and half out. You have to, you guys are doing that now with Grannies on the road. You know what you got to put into it to make it successful. So no matter what you do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you have to
So
be.
is that the advice you would give somebody who feels like they're stuck in a rut?
Yep, change it up. Change up the mornings. Change up what you're reading. Go someplace different. Don't go to work the same way. Go a different way.
That's such a simple thing. And
Yep, very simple. Very simple.
Yeah.
Because little new scenery takes you to new opportunities. Might spark something in your mind. I was reading something 3 days ago, and it sparked something that another thing I was working on. You know, and I think that's important. You have to keep your mind working that way.
Now, see, she goes crazy when I take a different road. Oh, you're going to go down Summer Street this time? Yes, I am.
I'm not stuck on a rut.
No, you have to go down different roads sometimes because you never know where opportunity might lurk.
That's true.
You know, it's like going networking.
Right.
Being in B&I, we learn really how to network. And I mean, there's plenty of nights I'd rather go home, but I went to those networking events.
Right.
And it's amazing. It might not have been work, but it might have been something else that connected me. Met a video guy. Now he's making some videos for our business. We're actually making 2 reality series things, where one is a complete kitchen remodel, going from start to finish, through the emotions and everything. And the other one's a bathroom remodel, and that's Kurt and Shonda Schilling. So we'll have some celebrities on that video, you know, that we're doing there, master bath over.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Wow, what an opportunity.
Yep. So opportunities bring you down different roads. Might not be for business sometimes, might be for something else. You never know.
Right.
You got to keep your mind open like that, I feel. But a lot of people have trouble getting themselves up. I've never had that trouble. I get down sometimes, but I find ways to get myself back up. Everybody gets feeling like they're depressed. Nobody's depressed. There's no such thing as being depressed. You're in a depressed state. You're not depressed.
That's
So,
a good way to look at it.
yeah, you just have to get yourself out of it. You know, this morning the 52-degree temperature got me back up today. I can tell you that. It was 5 degrees yesterday morning coming to work. It was 48 this morning coming to work. So
Wow.
it's a 53-degree change.
That really felt great.
It did. It was balmy.
Yeah.
It was. It did feel balmy.
Yeah,
It's
it
crazy.
did. It was nice. Even when it was rain, I could care less. It was warm. A lot warmer than yesterday morning.
Yeah. Well, while we were in Middleboro
Mhm.
filming at your showroom, we had a little mini adventure for Two Grannies on the Road. As you know, part of our thing is having adventures wherever we go and seeing the country. So even locally, we're going to have little adventures wherever we go and talk
Perfect.
to people. So we actually went to Dave's Diner for lunch.
Okay.
And you know the owner, right?
Yes, Dave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you know about him?
He's a great guy. He's a hard-working guy, and he's owned many restaurants. As you know, he owned the Fireside for many years. He's a hard-working baby boomer who has definitely made us all proud.
Well, we had a really good lunch. I have to say, I haven't had a root beer soda in a really long time, and it was a yummy root beer soda. And what did you have?
To drink?
What was your lunch?
Oh, I had the burger with bacon and blue cheese.
Oh, boy.
Oh, the blue cheese. Oh, it just does something to my salivary
Oh.
glands.
That sounds delicious.
And sweet potato fries, right?
Yeah, yeah.
He has a great business. The cool part about his place is it's like an old diner. Well, it is an old.
it
It is a
is.
diner.
Yeah.
He bought that stainless steel diner that was brought in and put together there, but the food matches the feel of the place.
Every time
It
I've
does.
gone, it's
Yeah.
been delicious.
My grandsons love it there.
Oh, yeah?
Jay always gets the foot-long hot dog. How he eats that whole thing is beyond me. But he was just featured on Phantom Gourmet.
Phantom Gourmet.
And did you
That's
see
why it
that
was so
apple
heavy.
cranberry pancake? I've got to go there after my cleanse to eat that. That looks delicious.
So much for the cleanse.
So
Yeah,
much for the
really.
last
Well,
10
I'll
days
finish
or 2
first.
weeks,
No,
yeah.
yeah, I'll bring it
There
right
goes
back
that.
in one day. That looked delicious, though. He's got good food there.
It is always good food. And I had a hamburger with bacon and cheddar hamburger and onion rings, just piled high with onion rings.
There was so
Really
many
good.
onion
They were
rings.
so light and crispy.
Yeah, good food there. And the
Yeah.
other thing I think that he does, and what us baby boomers seem to have gotten in the programs our heads are, is consistency. He's consistent there. Very consistent. You're going to get the food the same way each time, and it's not a chain.
Yeah.
You know, he's a good manager that I know of, and he knows how to have his people keep the way it needs to be. And that's very important in the restaurant business. It's very important in my end, too, because kitchens, it's a very picky-owned business. It's their personal property.
Right.
It's the room
Right.
they're in the most. So you have to be consistent. You know, if you do have problems, you got to be able to get in and out of it pretty quick. You know, people don't like, to be in your house too long.
Yeah, I
So that
imagine.
being said, what do you think about retirement?
I don't think I'll ever retire. I'm always going to keep reinventing myself. When I retire from the motivational, I'll probably do something else. I want to mentor. I've been in the mentor program quite a bit at the school. I dropped it a few years back because of time, but I'd like to get back to that. You know, there's so many opportunities for us. We don't have to go to work to make money. We can go to work and give to people. Love to coach football someday. The little guys.
Oh,
I
yeah?
don't want the big kids. I want the peewees. I want to start them out right. I want to be like John Wooden. Teach them the basics. How do you tie your shoes?
Excellent.
Yeah.
So you've touched on a little bit about employees and wanting to mentor young people. What are your thoughts about millennials?
Millennials are a powerful group themselves. They're kind of, the millennials are too beyond us, or are they right behind baby boomers? How does it work? I always
No,
forget.
they're right now what they're saying is we have baby boomers and then the next generation is like Gen X.
Gen X, that's what I
right?
thought.
So yeah, so then we have millennials, and it used to be, well, millennials are born around 2000 and after, but no, millennials, they're considering people like up to 30 years old as
Yeah, my daughter's a
millennials.
millennial.
Yeah,
She's
exactly.
26, yeah.
Right.
I think they're a powerful group. I think the only thing that some of them are missing is the work ethic that we were brought up with. And I think we didn't do that to our kids as much. I think we did more for them, where our parents didn't. I think that's the only thing they're missing, but they're a very sharp. They overshadow us in a lot of other ways. They overshadow us in the mindset of technology, and I think they get business. They really do. I think they get business.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Well, what can millennials learn from baby boomers?
Learn not to work so hard. Maybe that's what they did learn from it. My daughter got me a thing from when she was down the Cape, and it's like a wooden thing with a saying on it. It says, you know, don't make your work your life focus, you know. So maybe she was telling me something.
Sending a little message there, Dad.
Yeah, could be. That could be a big learning experience. Don't make it everything.
Yeah.
I didn't make it everything, but I did work a lot. I wish I worked less. They say when you go to your deathbed, there's nobody that's ever gotten there that said, I wished I worked more.
That's true.
Very true.
But on the other hand, are there things that baby boomers can learn from millennials?
Yeah, be a little bit more smarter with the technology. You don't have to work hard to work smart. You know, I think there's a big thing we can learn there. They know how to juggle their life better, so we definitely can learn from them that way, for sure. You know, I mean, look at Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs died a very rich man, and on his deathbed, you know, he talked about a lot of stuff, and a lot of it was, you know, not paying attention to relationships as much. And I really believe, and that's what I'm going to really stress in my motivation speaking, is the relationships you make. You know, you're not a success in business and not a success elsewhere, and you're not a huge success at that point. And I think he labeled himself that he wasn't really a huge success because he ignored his family and his friends. You know, and here's a man that had the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, one thing I've heard about millennials is they really want, they want to do business with people that have a cause. They want there to be a cause. They have a cause themselves. Have you noticed that?
I've noticed that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're exactly right there. And that's a nice thing, giving back to our world. You know, and I think us baby boomers maybe got away from that. You know, I'm starting to become more green. You know, I'm definitely going that way. You know, I have an electric car. So I have a gas vehicle too, but I drive the electric car mostly.
But you also have always given back in other ways. You've been a big supporter of organizations like Make-A-Wish, right?
Yeah, in the what was it, around 2005, I could see what was coming into 2006. And advertising, we used to spend a lot of money on advertising. We did a lot of cable TV. We had my daughter and her friends on there. They were pretty popular. Amazing how popular they were. And I decided in 2006 that that type of advertising wasn't working anymore. I needed to change. So we took some of the money and we donate $2 per cabinet we sell to the Make-A-Wish. And we took the rest of the money and developed into service, how we service our clients. And Make-A-Wish is one of the organizations. We do work with a lot of schools. They give 2 scholarships at Bristol Plymouth at the end of the year. You know, we hope to up that each year. You know, we've been doing it for quite a few years now. One of them I changed to a friend's daughter's name because she had gotten killed in an accident, so it's under her name now, one of the scholarships, yeah.
That's excellent.
Well, Tim, this has been really great having you on the show. It's all the time we have, but we really wish that you would, you know, continue on your journey and do the things that you want to do.
Thank you. I
Thank you
appreciate
so
being
much.
on here.
Thanks.
If you are a baby boomer or you know someone who is a baby boomer, we would love to tell their story. Please contact us at twogranniesontheroad.com.
What are your goals and dreams?
We want to encourage you to think outside the box
Step outside your comfort zone.
and take action to live your dreams.
So, would help if I got the right piece of paper. Thanks for tuning in, and be sure to watch for the next episode of
Two Grannies on the Road.